Okay, we are back to talk about Sugar, episode 8, the finale, titled Farewell, written by Donald Joe and Sam, directed by Fernando Moraes. It's a moving day for the aliens, Cameron. But first, Sugar finds Olivia alive and returns her to Melanie, Bernie, and Jonathan. Jonathan offers Sugar a security job, but he refuses, instead uses it as a chance to ask Jonathan about Clifford's body. Sugar's friend Henry lets Sugar borrow a CD player so he can listen to the CD that he took from Ryan Pavich's basement. Listening to it, he's now convinced that there was a second person in the basement when these victims were being tortured. That takes him back to Olivia, who confirms to Sugar there was another person in there who would just write and never speak. Sugar believes that this person is Henry, so he calls him. Henry confirms that it's true. Before that call ends, Henry says that he did it to observe and to learn more about humans, which was their mission after all. But he also implies that he abducted Sugar's sister, Jen. Sugar goes to meet up with Ruby before they lift off and tells her that he is not leaving because Henry is not leaving either. He wants to try to find out what happened to his sister, and he leaves the group to go hunt down Henry, setting up a second season. Who knows? But that's how the first season ends. I think you and I both have some mixed feelings about this.
Yeah.
So let's dig into it.
Mixed feelings. I don't know if you had a chance to look at my recap. Like,
I did.
I'm a bit negative. I don't know, man. I didn't really like it. To get the negative, I want to try to get the negative, someone out of the way first, maybe, and then we'll work through it. Then maybe we'll convince ourselves it was better as we talk through it. But I don't know. I just thought that the way that they resolved the stuff with the seagulls, fine. But then that conversation with Jonathan, it was kind of like, hey, you took Clifford's body, right? And you had an affair with Rachel Gay, right? And he's just like, yeah. And it didn't really feel to me like it mattered much. They
Yeah.
wrapped it up, but it was just kind of like whatever.
This was just classic box checking. There are things undone. We've got to tie them up. Let's do it and move on. No real weight to it. No sense of time spent for it. We just got to wrap it up.
And okay, maybe, except maybe you needed two more episodes. I don't know. But my biggest gripe is okay, so they're checking the boxes of like, you took Clifford's body, right? Yes. But then no mention of Charlie. What happened to Charlie? We've had no mention of Charlie since episode 6 when
That bothered me. It
she was
bothered
like
me a lot.
mysteriously abducted or killed, or sure
Which
doesn't care.
I guess Henry, but we don't know. But Charlie was someone that clearly was someone Sugar confided in. She was someone that was integral to how he was able to accomplish what he was doing, and just, I mean, literally nothing since episode 6.
Right. I mean, there's various possibilities. Possibility one maybe is that she got taken out by Stallings' men somehow, right? Like he clearly had other thugs that weren't in the house. Maybe Stallings got her. Whether that was an abduction or just killing her.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the answer. Also don't think it was the answer that Miller and the polyglots were behind it. That was another possibility. At the time I thought that might be the answer, but now I don't think that was the answer. I previously thought the answer was it has to do with Senator Pavich and these other powerful people.
Yeah.
Um, and but no follow up on that at all, which narratively I have a gripe with. But the deepest level of criticism here is it doesn't jibe with the character of John Sugar to me, that he would never mention Charlie again. He asked Ruby what happened to her in episode 6. Ruby's like, I don't know. And there's just no follow up on that whatsoever. I don't know. That really bothered me, actually.
Yeah, you're right about the characterization of who Sugar is and how he would have been obsessed over this too. Even if it was one line added to the phone call he has with Henry of, saying the name Charlie, or, Charlie had to be sacrificed, whatever, so that it's now part of his mission going forward, at least, right? That I've got to find Henry, I've got to find Charlie, I got to figure out what happened to my sister. But to just have that sitting out there with nothing was incredibly disappointing.
They have so many possibilities to address it in some way. I mean, this is a show that features voiceover narration. right? Like at any point while he's driving or something, you could have just had John Sugar think about Charlie.
Yep.
Anything. Anyway, that's my biggest complaint, and maybe it feeds into my feeling that the whole way in which they took this story in the season finale, I found to be a bit disappointing. Not giving up on the show. If it does get a season two, I'll watch season two. But um, yeah, I don't know. What I mean, how did the whole thing with Henry land for you? Is
It just,
heel turn.
I think that the small choices that led up to that reveal, first of all, I guess we call it a twist if that's what it is, that Henry is
Yeah,
this bad guy, is diminished by the fact that you had the massive twist 2 episodes ago. But then the small things that led up to this, which you pointed out in your piece, is very good. People should go read it. Giving Sugar the CD player, giving Sugar the address to where Olivia is located. I mean, just I guess we can't necessarily um, imbue human emotions and reactions onto Henry if he is an alien, but it's like, do you not think there will be consequences of doing these things and giving Sugar this information and these tools? I mean, you just giving somebody the tool to find you. I didn't understand it.
yeah. I thought it was odd, and I don't know if they got hung up on the fact that they are aliens, and well, because they're aliens, their motivational structures are a bit different, or what have you, and maybe so. Um, yeah, I called this into question in the article I wrote. I'm going to try to go in the other go in the other direction a bit here and see how well it works. I mean, can we make this fit with what we know of Henry? Because I think it is a twist. We've primarily seen him as a friend. He helped tend to Sugar's wounds. There's that also, after the fight at Stallings and all of that. Um, and yeah, he gives him the CD player. He gives him the address, first of all. So one has to almost presume that Henry either wanted Sugar to find out that he was involved,
Yeah, which we have
or
no reason to believe that.
yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. Or it's he somehow got some way in which he feels like he and Sugar are alike, and he wants to guide Sugar toward that um kind of realization of how they are, I don't know, darker or more
Yeah.
human than their fellows, or something. This still isn't working for me. I'm not convincing myself.
Yeah, I mean, if I squint hard enough, I can see a justification with that one of we're both obsessive. We both don't want to give this up. We both want to go deep into the psyche and understanding of who humans are. You do it with criminals in the underworld and people who traffic folks. You obsess over this and you don't give up. I'm just doing on the other side. I'm sort of sitting with, observing, partnering with the deepest, darkest people in this society, trying to learn. Like I said, if I force myself to try to come up with a reason, that would be it. But then just have that conversation instead of just, giving Sugar the address. And you know that Olivia has seen you there. You know that she's witnessed you there. You're just hoping that he doesn't figure that out. It just didn't compute for me.
Yeah, and it's like the best I can do to um, make sense of it in a way that could defend it still lands in a place where I end up saying I don't like it. I
Yeah.
don't care. Like that was my comparison of kind of setting up Henry like he's the Moriarty to John Sugar Sherlock Holmes or something. And I don't quite. I just don't like it. Anyhow, I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate when I devolve to the level of just kind of saying, "Oh, I didn't care for that." But
Yeah.
um, what
And what
they
about we talk about Charlie and sort of that sort of hanging thread still out there. What about Miller? What do we are we led to believe that the Pavich and his people killed Miller and then there's some justification for when Ruby says later, "Oh, they're after us, they're hunting us." We have some sort of evidence of that, but just seemed completely out of the blue.
Right. I mean, this is my other criticism, I guess. This was the most interesting thing to me in the entire finale, right? That okay, so they're um Sugar couldn't give it up. Now he's exposed Pavich and these powerful people who know that they are secretly aliens on Earth are after them, either to expose them or potentially just to kill them, right? Because we see Miller get pulled over by a cop for no reason, other than ultimately the reason is for her to murder him in
Yeah,
cold blood, right? And then, like, no real follow up on that. I don't think Ruby ever even mentions what happened to Miller.
yeah.
So I
She
don't know
just
if she knows for sure what happened to Miller.
she just says
But
they're hunting us, which I let. Oh, well, she must be talking about Miller, but we don't know.
yeah, but that's weirdly vague, right?
Yeah,
Like, why not they're hunting us, Sugar? They murdered Miller. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't
yeah,
land the same without the detail in there. Um, but then that doesn't come up. And then he goes and sees Ruby in the evacuation site or whatever, and that doesn't come up. And you don't see any other indications of other members of the group being hunted or anything like that because they're spending all this time on this other thing that kind of comes out of nowhere
yeah,
about Henry having been there in the basement and secretly being evil. And maybe he was behind whatever happened to Sugar's sister Jen too. What? Okay, what?
yeah.
What?
Which made no sense to me. I, I think I had these events right. What happened? So Sugar's sister was also at some point a human here with them,
I
and
don't know.
right, and he took her, did something to her, but she still had her alien clothes with her, and so he kept them and then left them for Sugar. But the only time we see her in those clothes is in these little flashbacks back to their other
They're like
planet.
on their home planet. Yeah.
Yeah,
What happened to Jen and when?
exactly.
How does any of that make sense? I understand that they've kept that as a kind of background mystery, and that's fine. But now they're sort of bringing it to the foreground. What we get doesn't really. I don't know how to put it all together. We get the flashbacks of her, like on their home planet in a blue alien form, and then her dress in a closet on Earth. Was she ever on Earth? I guess maybe, and something happened to her, and Henry was behind it. And how does that even fit with, what we were saying of the best I can do to make sense of this in terms of Henry's character is he's just a really detached anthropologist.
Yeah,
He's so detached that he can remain a detached academic when he's sitting in the room with a sadistic torturer, torturing and killing
yeah,
someone,
yeah,
right? I can all right. I can take that as a characterization of Henry. What possible reason could he have for doing something to John Sugar's sister? How does that fit in at all? And if he did, that implies that, hey, this guy's evil and he has been evil for a while. It's just like I just
yeah.
don't feel like it all hangs together well, and I was really, really disappointed by it.
Well, we are in lockstep with this, I think, in terms of what we got in this finale. Just tied things up, but man, the bow they tied is quite loose. It seems to keep falling apart.
Yeah. So here's my hope, because there are some interesting bits here. This finale just didn't do what I hoped that it would do. And what I hoped was that we would get more from what's going on with Senator Pavich and whoever else. A little bit here. Again, like best part of the episode was when Miller got killed. Most interesting part to me. Like, oh, whoa, and just kind of drop it. Um, but to see that more foregrounded, like I thought they should have been the kind of big bad entering the story. And I mean, I guess they kind of are, and Henry's kind of associated with them. And, even Henry's heel turn could fit in. They just emphasized that so much, and everything felt kind of rushed. right?
Yeah.
But
And there was this name, there's this Pavich name, but there's no face, there's no information, there's no context about who these people are, why, what, what's their intentions other than we want you to do something so or we will uncover who you are. We just have zero context about all that.
yeah, I mean, all we've got is that Senator Pavich is a senator,
Yeah.
and uh, his son Ryan was a bad guy, you
Yeah.
know, how involved in, there's so many interesting possibilities. I think I mentioned last week, I thought, oh, maybe one of the possibilities is that they found out that there were aliens on Earth because one of his victims
Yeah.
was an alien. Like that would have been interesting. Now I don't know. Did they find out that there are aliens on Earth because Henry showed up and said, "Hello, I would like to observe," and like gave it up? How did they find out? There's just so many ways in which what this happened in this episode just doesn't
Yeah.
fit, you know?
Yeah, it's Henry just putting a Craigslist ad out for sadistic folks out there. I'm looking to just observe, no pay required.
Yeah, and Ruby seems to say that she and the others knew all along, whereas a lot of things over the course of the season I thought indicated that they didn't know all along about where Olivia was or what Henry was doing, but they
Yeah,
all knew, and then that they all knew, and Sugar's just kind of like, no big deal,
yeah.
and that didn't land well for me either. So I don't know. Apologies, people listening who enjoyed this. If you just tuned in for a half hour of griping, um,
Well, we have to be honest how we felt about it, and felt there could have been some things done better.
yeah, try to be positive.
So let me ask you: I give you a
But
thousand dollars to place a bet. Do you bet there will or will not be a second season?
um, I bet there will.
Interesting. I don't know.
And
I
I
guess I'm less convinced now after the Constellation news, but I don't know any of the numbers, obviously. So
I have no idea about numbers, but I've just seen so many things in the trades, as it were.
yeah,
One of the things I encountered as I was gathering up news items yesterday was a kind of profile piece interview with the director of this episode, um, which
Fernando
is
Maria.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Fernando Moraes. Well, so like City of God and stuff, which I hadn't quite pieced together before. Maybe I did. Maybe I knew that long ago. But anyway, I mean, I thought that was interesting, and this is what I could say positively about the show. I really did enjoy the style of it personally. I enjoyed the direction of it.
Hmm.
I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed how it was shot. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the snippets from old films. I
Yeah.
enjoyed the subtlety of the series
Yeah.
for the most part through the first 7 episodes at least. And that's
Yeah.
part of the thing too, is that I feel like episode 8 became far less subtle and nuanced and was just kind of like, here's what it is, here's the deal,
Yeah.
you know.
So much
Um,
cool stuff about the style, the production, the way that this is shot that was so unique and so interesting. Just yeah, disappointing to not end it on a look. That could have been a higher note.
yeah, and I mean, I think, griped about it a lot, but there are a number of things in here where if they do get a season 2, this can be redeemed, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There are ways in which Henry's heel turn can be made more interesting, kind of deepened, or just feel like it makes a bit more
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Some of these things we're pointing to are almost open questions. There are ways that they could do it with regard to the whole mystery about what happened to Jen that make that intriguing. And they have um, already brought in these powerful elites like Senator Pavich
hmm
and done the thing where they have them kill Miller. And there's ways that that could carry forward, which is the thing is like, that's what I already wanted. And I feel like they should have done more. But
yeah,
anyway, ultimately, maybe it just feels like the show has a kind of weird structure. This is supposed to be a season finale. So you want to tie some things up and leave a door open for more. And it's clear that's what they were trying to do, and I just kind of don't feel like they did it well.
Yeah.
But if they make a season two, maybe it picks up and carries forward and is okay.
Yeah. There's, as you said, chance to redeem if they are given that chance, which no indication one way or the other yet.
Yeah, who knows? But you asked me where I would place my bet, and it's just based on the number of articles I have seen being put out by various places about sugar over
Yeah.
the past, only really for the past 3 weeks, though. It was like once it got to episode 6, people were like, oh, that big twist. But let's publish articles about it. Let's
Yeah.
interview people about the idea for that. Here's an interview about how they shot the show around to different places and only Apple TV was interested, and like all this stuff. But the level of awareness of the show seems relatively high. And that
Yes.
wasn't the case with Constellation at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
think I think we're on the same page there.
so we'll
Ooh.
see.
Yeah.
If they do renew Sugar again, I will watch season 2.
I
Anything else you want to say about this episode?
think that covers it for me.
Okay. So apologies to anyone listening who really thought this episode was great. Feel free to give us grief in the YouTube comments. I'm sure someone will. You guys don't understand sugar.
Yeah.
Um anyhow, sorry. Enjoy talking about the show with you. Ryan, to mention for those who maybe have found the podcast through listening to our recap and analysis of sugar week to week. To mention, if you aren't aware, our general plan in the first part of the pod, we talk about what's in the news and so on and so forth, and then generally focus on an episode of a show in the latter part of the podcast. If you're on YouTube, you may just be doing that part, right? Because we've been posting the episode recaps on their own on YouTube. I think that fits well on YouTube. So please do, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I think ideally, what I really like to do is this sort of thing where we're on a show that's current, that's happening week to week, but we're always having to try to find something that fits the schedule. And we are encountering right now a little bit of difficulty on that. We're going to talk about The Bear when it comes out in late June. But between now and then, you want to describe what we're going to do, Ryan?
Yeah, so we think on June 21st, we'll pick up on bear covers that will look like something over the next 3 or 4 weeks after that. June 21st, a week before it comes out, probably will be some kind of recap, look ahead. What do we think will happen in season 3, the season that drops on June 27th? But we have 4 weeks between now and then. And so we thought as this podcast crosses 50th episode, gets close to its 1 year mark, that we would look back on these 12 months and each take what was our favorite show and what was our favorite episode. So that'll each cover 2 apiece. So we'll cover those over the next 4 weeks and just look at sort of the highlights that we found from the last 12 months before we get into, I think, what's become one of our favorite shows, getting up on the bear again in late June.
Yeah, longtime listeners of the pod will know that we started with The Bear. It was the first
That's
show
right.
that we talked about. So, so go back and find, those early episodes.
Yeah.
And so we've got to cover The Bear season 3. I do want to spend some time on it. We'll have to think about exactly how to do that. But yeah, as Ryan said, between now and then, we're going to take a look back, talk about some shows and episodes from shows over the past year. I mean, what do you want to say that the time frame is like June to June, or how do you want to think about that
Yeah, I was
exactly?
thinking about it. We'll have to talk about this offline. We might have to do a favorite episodes and shows non-bear edition because I think we would just end up talking about the bear for four more weeks if we ended up including season 2. We might have to think about how we do it. But yeah, more like a June to now type of time frame.
Yeah, that's basically what I was saying. Well, yeah, we'll talk about it more offline.
Yeah.
But so hopefully people are into that. You can find the full podcast wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. Much appreciated. If you're on YouTube, please do press that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and so on. You can follow tvobsessive.com on social media. Search for TV Obsessive. Find us on the X platform. They're redirecting me now to x.com. So
Yes, they've changed it officially.
Facebook, Instagram accounts, on Threads, also on Blue Sky. So, follow the site. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with our usual news and notes and some to be determined favorite from the past year. So hopefully you'll join us.
Yeah, looking forward to that. We'll see you next time.